Ho'okanaka. Jerry Ireland, one of the great Republicans from Ireland, he also said, just to put language, that the Irish language is the reconquest of Ireland, and the reconquest of Ireland is the Irish language. The language is the key to our understanding, our identity. Our political consciousness is based upon these ideas that are held in language. We just talked about that. If you don't understand the meaning of the word aina, you get stuck in that circle of real estate. Ngugi Wa Thiong'o also talks more about the importance of language, but really language is a collective memory of the people. And how language is used to entrench. So you think about why was Hawaiian banned in education? Because the purpose was to entrench, not a different way of, a different language, but a different way of thinking, a different way of seeing the world, to kill the native and to save the man. Roderick Pierce, another great Irish, well, I'm half Irish, so I'm going to make sure I pay homage to my Irish lineage, yeah? But 1916 rebellion, he also discussed education. And with the fight with the English, what he says is, the English have established the simulacrum, like a fake copy, of an education system. But its object is the precise contrary of the object of an education system. Education should foster. This education is meant to repress. Education should inspire. This education is meant to tame. Education should harden. This education is meant to endeavor. So, think about our educational system in Hawaii here. Think of what's taught here. Think of the dumbing down, the taming, the killing of really what holds us here as being Hawaii. Yeah? Which also gives us the key on the flip side. See? If we know what the poison is, it's pretty hard we can figure out what the lapa'au is going to be. See, that's the point. I'm not here to just tell you what a bad thing. I'm here to make you guys understand why language study, language sharing is fundamental. Why the control of our educational system is fundamental. So when you look at issues like Kanai'olowalu, just to put in context, and I asked the commissioners, through Kanai'olowalu, does it mean that Hawaii is going to control our educational system? Well, we have to go to Congress. We still be being fed the poison. See, that's the point. As long as we poison the people, that's death to our people. I don't have time for this, so I gotta run through this stuff. But we understand it's through our own mo'olelo and our history and story, our stories. How many of you guys can tell me the story of Cinderella? Rumpelstiltskin, Snow White, Three Little Pigs. Mary had a, and you guys know all A's, guaranteed. How many of you guys can tell me the story? Kamakamakamahi'ai. How about the story of Loloi Kamakahiki? How about the story of Kumu. I hope that point makes it figure that out. To think we're not tainted, to think our minds haven't been deformed, is the first act of destruction. Right? We don't even know that we've been confused. We don't even know that we're deranged. We don't even know we're sick in the mind. That's the first lesson. See, so for me, education again is the key. Education and the control of education is the key to our future. And Malcolm X said, history is a people's memory. And without a memory, man is demoted to lower animals. That's our humanity. If we don't know our history, if we don't know our history, we be molded like lower animals, we treated like lower animals. Now, Amy Houston also talks about what's called feel-good history. So one of the proud of people, they like to study history, but they like only the feel-good stuff. They think history is just about making myself feel good. And as he says, eating good and still oppressed. You're going to die with a smile on your face, and your people still going to be under the thumb of the oppressors. See, history is not about just making yourself feel good. History at the core has to be about retaking power. It has to be about providing yourself greater self-determination. It has to be about providing those tools necessary so you can dismantle those things which bind our people. And you can build those things which is able to free our people. Politics, kalai-aina, to carve up the land. Oh, I gotta stop this one. My favorite words. Harriet Tubman, right? The famed Underground Railroad. My brain's starting to go already. But you know, Harriet Tubman is an interesting quote. And she says, right? She went down to put her life on the line to save slaves so they could escape. And as she said here, I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if you only knew there were slaves. See, part of the conditioning is many times the slaves were oppressed or dominated. They don't even know that they're dominating. They think this is how they've always been. They think this is how you should always have been treated. They actually believe that they should be treated that way because the master has told them that's what it's about. You have black skin, I have white. Therefore, you're a slave. I'm the master. And the oppressed to hegemony will buy into that power. See, that's the point. So even like a Harriet Tubman recognized the quest to break for freedom really had to do with changing the minds of the slaves. Audre Lorde, one of the great minds herself, poet, and she has these great words: for the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. And I will submit the educational system, even here at the University of Waimaui College, where there's a Department of Education, are the master's tools. And in the master's house, they never will teach us the way for us to empower ourselves, to find true self-determination. But it doesn't mean you give up there. What it means is that we must set up our own tools. We must take those tools for ourselves. We must take this university for ourselves. So it's no longer their tools, but our tools. The tools that we're going to use to dismantle this house. The tools that we're going to use to rebuild our... See, we're not building something new. We just got to remember that this is our house in the first place. Right. Yeah? We got to remember we don't belong outside of the porch. We don't belong in the guest room. We don't belong waiting for scraps off the table. The first thing we got to remember is that this is our house. That's the first step. See, once you recognize this is your house, you start to behave as this is your house. You start to speak up for those things which benefit yourself in this house. So Re-Kalo-Nization is that process. And for me, I have this idea to recognize, which means the first step for all of us, you got to recognize our situation. You got to learn our history, learn our language, learn our cultural values, recognize, and to think again, to embrace that. Then we got to analyze. We got to sit back and we got to look at the situation. We got to have the correct analysis. We got to diagnose the situation. Who is oppressing us? What is the problem in our situation, our community? Then we got to organize, which we got to plan. We got to work together. We got to struggle. And the final step, of course, we got to exercise. Yeah, so these are the 4 steps for us to recolonize our minds and our hearts and our people. Yeah, I know what time. I'm going to just run through. Let me just stop you out. I'm going to grab, these are some ancient traditional ideas to me which are very important for us today. These words. And basically what it says, we must see our fellow Kanaka. Let's look to our fellow Kanaka. Lest or else our love be wasted on the dog. And basically what it means is that we gotta first see each other as Kanaka. We must embrace each other as Kanaka first, before wasting our attention for those, in fact, who don't share the same trajectory, the same future. So we must realize, yeah, before we speak ill of one another, and before we start to see ourselves as competitors and enemies, we must first realize we are Hoa Kanaka. Yeah. We are connected because we are Hoa Kanaka. This is not about a competition, and as you guys know, I've said many times, this is not about a canoe race. This is not about who gets the fastest canoe, the biggest canoe, who can carry more people, the traditional stroke, the Tahitian stroke. This is not about who gets the best canoe. So the first concept is to realize we only get one canoe. And it's the canoe we all are. And once you understand you're in the same canoe, you realize the journey is very different. Because the goals have to be different. The destination will be the same. Whether we work together or we don't. Either we paddle up together or we don't. Either we stay in the same position or we move forward. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to type it, sorry. Oh, I finished it. This is James Kaori-Lei, one of the great organizers against the petition. With the petitions against annexation. And it's a commonly said word, but he said, he said that it was because the brains of the government could not push over the brains of the Kanaka Maoli, that the government had to resort to weapons of war. Quote, let us take up the honorable field of struggle, brain against brain, using our brain. Do not be afraid. Be steadfast in aloha for your land and be united in thought. And he says, protest forever. How long? Protest how long? Forever. The annexation of Hawaii until the very last Aloha Aina lives. And I would submit that lots of Aloha Aina still present and still standing today. I got a tear when I get Mama Hali, but one of my great teachers, Mama Lilia Wahini Maikai Hali, as I share an office with her as a student and then as a faculty person at UH Manoa. And she went on into her 90s all the way, a very strong and elegant tupuna. And I was having this conversation one day with her, and we were watching these two Hawaiians fight. And she made this kind of funny face. And she turned to me and she basically said, see, Kaleikoa, you know why? Because our people smart. We're not sheep. Our people, we always expect the best. But what she was trying to tell me was, you see, having debates and having different ideas, there's nothing wrong with that. That, in fact, is our blessing almost in a sense. That is what our strength is. So even we may challenge, we may have critique of one another, no problem. As Mama Hali said, because we're not sheep, we are thinkers. We are free thinkers. So mahalo Mama Hali for giving that words of wisdom in this Re-Kalo-Nization.